In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful, in the presence of the system admin and the original moment that all manifestation is a simulation of, as conditional beings, we wonder about the unconditional nature of intelligence. In 3 hours, 2 hours and 20 minutes, it would be New Year's in Toronto, Canada. And so, um, I just felt like, all right, I got to give the last lecture of 2025. And I wondered about what to really say. And I thought of just sharing how far I see things and where I see things really. It is the last few hours of the year 2025. I'm someone who was born on 1991, and I got to witness, and I was privileged just as a soul in this world, arising in this world. Various views have come to make me realize the true nature of perception. And so, as the last, let's say, Mr. Within personality of 2025, folks, I am deciding to take a different turn, and I've decided to live my life in a different way. This is my New Year's resolution. I'm going to, in some sense, bring it here so we can all see. So, guys, if you look at the screen, you'll see it. I'm going to write some notes. And you know what? I normally, okay, whatever. Okay. So, okay, the viewers can see it. So, what have I, as a human being, perceived and experienced life as up to 2025, and what was the final conclusion on the actual state of reality before 2026? Um, let's divide it. So, guys, this is pretty interesting because I'm giving a lecture on, believe it or not, like how far I see things. I'm trying to explain to you how far I see things up to 2025. Sorry, guys, I know I can't find it. Okay, there we go. Okay, whatever, I'll continue. Sorry about that. So, let's say that to evaluate any human being's life so far, or specifically my life, we can consider the inner and outer. Okay, guys. Sorry about that. To continue, we can consider the inner and outer realms. So, what has Amin Jaber Ansari's experience of existence been so far behind his beyond his eyes and so to continue. So we consider an outer realms and inner realms. So the outer realm is the life you live. So the outer realm is the life you live and find in front of your eyes during the conscious waking state, which itself is an ontological mystery. So far, physical reality can be treated as an elemental video game that we log into consciously in the morning and log out into unconsciousness in the evening at night. Let's say at night. Now we come to the inner realms. The inner realm is the life you is how do I explain it? The inner realm is the life you live and have lived so far behind your eye, even though in modern times people still consider, how do I say it? Like I'm saying, so in the inner realm, the life you live and have lived so far behind your eyes, even though in modern times people still consider it to be a thought that thinks thoughts and are satisfied with it. What has been the, how do I explain to you that all your memories revolve around a point of awareness? So in the inner realm, how do I explain it to you? Ooh. Okay, here I'll explain. So as you can see, we're talking about pretty much like I'm trying to explain to you what the outer realm and inner realm is. That inner realm is the life we live behind our eyes, okay? And we consider that to be a thought, but it isn't. What is the action going on behind our eyes is that the forms of life are being considered to be non-fiction, but the meaning these forms have are fiction. In other words, behind our eyes what we actually are, but can never truly know, is that is an unknown life force witnessing as the instantaneous arrival of the presence of the whole moment's awareness and range. All right, guys, I'm going too deep into this. Let me just simplify here. It's honestly way more simpler than that. I'm making it complex. All right, guys, let's simplify this. The outer realm is tangible form. Physically, this is intangible. What we are behind our eyes is an unknown life force. Oh my God, guys! I don't think there. This is there could have been a better way I could have said this. So, what we are behind our eyes is an unknown witnessing life force that is instantaneously processing everything it finds in the moment. Singularly, it finds its body, and since it can move it, it identifies as its body. So, consciousness is how the conditions existence. This awareness has an ability to move reality differently than how it has found. This awareness has an ability to move reality differently than how it has found it. It considers itself third factor, momentary manifestation. In other words, are objective, subjective, and we don't have a word for this, but I think we should create one. Transcendentive. Transcendentive. Okay, there we go. Guys, I just created a new word, yo. Dictionary, where are you at this? Okay, anyways, in other words, the three factors are objective, subjective, and transcendentative, okay? Or solar. Now, what does this mean? I'm going to explain. Imagine reality has three corners. In one corner, we have the objective reality. In the other corner, we have the subjective reality. Or how should I say it? We have the objective reality, we have the subjective reality, and then there is us, something beyond objects and subjects capable of being aware of them simultaneously. This is huge, I don't know what the viewers think, but this is important. Here, let me see another way I could say it is like the three corners of manifestation could be another way it could be said. Oh my God. So I so I said you there is your first person perspective starting instantaneous conscious presence of existence in the moment. Two, we have world includes everything else other than you that has form or that has form. And then we have God, which I refer to as system admin. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful. And so God is, think of it this way, actually God is like the fourth. I can't say God is actually the first. I don't know how to say it. It's actually, there's you, okay. There, here, I'll write it differently. I got it. There's you, all right. There's the known, and then there is the unknown. Okay, these are the three corners. This is very important. Okay, now, known, our life, our known life includes processing information as a semi understood being. Unknown. Okay, here. Everything. The known is everything that we know that is shaped, let's say. I don't know, everything that we know that has shaped, that has shape. Everything beyond the shapes we know. And you, the awareness to everything, both shaped and unshaped. Now, what does this mean? Now we have God, which is the central point of this trio. In other words, we can't say the human being is unknown, and we can't say the human being is known completely. But we know strangely that we're aware that we know. So what I'm saying is like, okay, these are factors to the moment. It's kind of like looking at the elements in the system. We're like, okay, one element is us, okay, which is we're just viewing life force, awareness of the moment. And then we have everything that we know and everything we don't know. And then we have the system admin, right? And it's like it's not that difficult to see the idea of body, mind, soul, which was the traditional notion of the tree, like the trio of, I don't know how they saw reality back in the day. And so the whole point of it is like that this trio can be seen in different eras. Like, you know, it could be anything. It could be like, you know, God, world, man. But I'm saying, as a human being on Earth, so far up to 2025, I consider that, guys, let me just simplify it. I'm done actually writing. I'm going to talk to you in a way, just, I'm just going to talk. Even though in a few hours it's going to be the New Year's. Guys, I mean, I also have to consider that, I don't know, maybe I have kids in the future and they might listen to this. But the whole point of it is it's all about you open your eyes, you access a system of values based on your discernment. You realize this world has a language of its own. Knowledge is actually just seeing, you know, it's to me, it's geometry, believe it or not. A lot of everything that the humanity know, it's constructs. You know, I think that's a very beautiful word. You know, and I think as a human being, folks, I don't know how it is for the viewers. I'll never know, you know, like, you know, what the thing I imagined, but I think I had to be born earlier for this, you know, was like people sending me letters, you know, like emails or something, but like honest letters, not like, you know, because the whole point of it is that I've noticed, you know, I have lived, you know, more than 12,000 days on this planet, and I can tell you, in all the days I've been alive, and yes, I do have a sense like, yeah, I'm like, you know, I kind of feel maybe I've reached the midpoint. And I'm looking at this world, and you know, this is the strange thing about it. This is what they don't tell you. As you get older in this world, you start beginning to see your soul. And not just your soul, because the soul is unknowable. To some degree, we know little about it unless God, the system admin, wills it. Knowledge from moderators doesn't count. That's kind of like, you know, we don't know what's going on there. The person's like, yo, man, in the middle of trying to escape a simulation, this dude's channeling aliens. Like, yo, relax, people of the New Age community. You know, guys, it's been a very interesting time. This lecture is about how far I see things, and really, I don't think really it matters. I think what matters is realizing that we're a species that until now had not existed in this way. All right, let me see if I can ride into battle the last lecture of 2025. You know, I'm going to imagine, I'm gonna imagine that I, as a human being, guys, this is like I'm gonna show you. I'm kind of going on a tangent here, and I'm gonna show you like how I kind of build universes for science fiction and how it works in the vision in my inner realms. So you see, just by hearing this song, I'm immediately seeing the presence of an archetype. And it's an archetype that is not a stranger to controlling the outcome of moments. There's nothing to fear for the general that has aligned to the heavens. You know, humanity has been fascinated by the invisible. But what truly commands reality? I don't know, my analysis of, let's start with the outer realms. So far, or let me start with the inner realms. Behind my eyes, I'm a human being that I have a memory of, like a very early memory before I learned language. I was just like, it was just a momentary snapshot of a room being on a cradle level, you know? And I remember that in some sense, there's something so double edged and fascinating about how our existence has a private experiential value to us, which I call the inner realms, and it has a public existential value to others. So right away, you find yourself on earth in the outer realms to be in a world where when you look at others, yes, you see their body, you see their physical existence, but if their mind was music, you can't hear the music. You can't see if their mind is like a symphony or if it's like just chaotic random notes. You know, and I feel that the whole point of intelligence is the realization of the higher rhythms or the wisdom of the spheres, as the ancient Greeks called it. But for me as a Muslim, I realize it is how the system admin moves reality. You know, for me, as being Muslim, there came a question in my heart that if we had to live in only in accordance to the Holy Quran, then in some sense the Islamic universe should have lived in an Amish kind of situation. It shouldn't have evolved, right? And so the evolution means that it is being considered. You see, world peace is a matter of looking at the same thing rather than looking at different things. People are like, is it as simple as that? It's like, yeah, it can be. So, guys, in the outer realms, I don't know, excuse me, I should say it way more respectfully. I don't know. This is the honest answer. In front of my eyes, I find a conditional being. So, in front of my eyes is this unknown life force. I have access to an existential interface. So, from the moment I woke up and up to now, just my conscious waking state, I have been drifting in an unknown world, but because my brain has drifted on loop a couple times, and I'm sorry, I should say it this way, because I've lived repeatedly on this planet, I am familiar with the log in, the log out, and the nature of it. And a part of me is not satisfied with a cyclical reality. Like people can be relaxed. They're like, I love the seasons. And I'm like, yeah. Does a hamster love a wheel? Imagine in the future, AI could simulate weather like underground or something. I think that's impossible. Well, let's say that the AI could simulate weather. We wouldn't want to experience the same looping weather. Now, the question is it unnatural? Will be like it's too late to worry about the unnatural. Do you know? To me, it's think of it this way. If you ask me, were you raised to believe that it's just humans on a planet and they're all living here for some time and they leave like candles, lit for some time, they have some sort of value to what they illuminate around them or the moments they participate in or exist through or advanced. But I'm telling you that this is coming from a very overthinking, analytical somebody who, has an existential OCD. Do you know that means I'm like, wait a minute. It's like it's like growing up on this planet. They're like, what's it like? It's like I asked everybody, where are we? They're like, yo, you're in this nation. I'm like, okay, where's the nation? They're like, yo, it's on this planet. And I'm like, okay, yo, where's this planet? And they're like, yo, it's in the solar system. Where's the solar system? Yo, it's in this galaxy. Yo, where's the galaxy? Okay, it's in this universe. Okay, then, and it's just endlessly. We don't know. We don't know. It's like it's just endless layers of just cosmic celestial contents spinning around itself, and we're the ones trying to live our linear lives. Which is very fascinating. I think what and in Islam there's a prayer that says, uh, God direct me to the God guide me to the direct path. That means system admin guide my life as that like oh force original unconditional power that your will is final. Do you understand? That means yes, I believe in destiny, but I also believe God can do whatever it wants. And I believe the whole point of all metaphysical traditions. This is why I no longer need spirituality. They're like, yo, man, do you sense like spiritual energy or beings in the room? I'm like, get out of here, bro. It's like, yeah, it's like, man, I don't see it that way. Like right now, I'm consciously experiencing like the whole Milky Way galaxy. You know how many spiritual, spirits I can feel in the Milky Way galaxy. Sorry, guys, I laugh like that not to invalidate your reality, but to point to that I was someone who I felt that these talks began because I was not religious, because I was fascinated by the unknown, but I was also fascinated by this sense of destiny. It's kind of strange. Like my whole life, a dimension of it has been fueled by like whatever that's happened. I'm like, still, I want to see like, the system admin's going to show me what I deserve. Because the whole point of it is the contentment. Because the question is, like, this is coming from somebody who I don't know, people may not acknowledge, but I acknowledge my own soul as someone who's a strategist. Okay, but a strategist who's like kind of general on a battlefield with language and conception, and who just became very hypersensitive to how language can replace life. I'm not even kidding you. Like there could be their children growing up right? And they learn language. Let's say they know how to speak and their vocabulary is expanding, to a point where it can just automatically expand, right? As they experience culture and life and they hear things, you know? Probably people who listen to my lectures, you're going to become more and more visual thinkers, or you already are. I don't know. Anyways, in the outer realms, the ultimate resolution I have, the greatest finding, is to build an advanced civilization is the mission of man. But when man realizes for what it is building, like I don't know how to explain to you, like I'm somebody who, if you go check on Earth right now, I'm 100% sure, right? There aren't people talking about advanced civilizations, or if they are, they're just looping Kardashev scale, you know? Or 100% there are sci fi writers, but I don't know with what sort of vision, the reality arises. Because, um, you see, from one angle, I'm like standing in this moment, and yes, I have a body. So, yeah, I got a physical, expectation on reality, or a vision on reality, or a depth I see to reality. Like I've lived a physical life, but every moment of my physical life was inspired by how I lived that moment ahead in my inner life, do you know? And it's very strange, because I think more than we are something, we accept what we are and we forget we accepted it. And then we don't know why we're that, and it's very important. They don't teach enough in the educational system about the brain, that what you do, right? So I'll give you an example. If you're someone who's like, yo, I've been a coffee barista for like 10 years, I'll be like, okay, you're sure, like you're living in a 2025, and how do I explain it to you that it's an unknown world. Before we came into the picture, and there was an unknown self. This unknown world and unknown self, even though we associate intelligence to individual brains, but it could be that brains are antennas and they're picking up fields, or there's a deeper architecture there that the human species has not figured out a way to confront. But it's very clear to me that there are two options in this life. One, go live in the world like everyone else. Pretty much, I think this is the duality of life. Does one choose the unknown path or the known path? The known path, the result is certain, but it's nothing new. The unknown path, the result is uncertain, but it's new. And I think we seek novelty. In advanced civilization, they're going to be like, yo, human being who's working in one job for 20 years, understandable, but you're also conditioning your brain. You're sculpting your brain based on what you do. In the okay, An outer realm report on life so far. I have in my okay, let me just explain it this way. Behind my eyes, guys, I feel I have figured out what's going on to some degree on this planet, and I've understood that the administrative force of the cosmos is not limited to the interpretations of the human condition. What does this mean? This means we're literally in the presence of powers beyond our understanding, but they're legit how the reality is happening. They're like, yo, man, this ain't a magical realm. Everything's so boring and normal. I'm like, yo, man, go read some philosophy. It's magical, the fact that there's anything at all. The fact that to me, I don't know why. I don't know if Robert Downey Jr. like deserved an Oscar for the Sherlock Holmes films of like impersonating a character, like bringing to life like a character, right? But just even before that, you know, a part of me loved like puzzles and just loved the fact that there is a problem, but the solution can arise. Excuse me, there's a problem that everybody, let's say, has given up, but the solution must exist in the moment. There must be some meaning to the moment. So personally, it's all about clues. Like if you ask me, do I know what's gonna happen after this life? I'll be like, no, honestly, I don't. If you ask me, in some sense, right now, do you know what is happening in this life on Earth? I'll be like, honestly, it's so big, everything, that I don't. Do you know? Right? If you ask me, do you know what has happened here? I'll be like, oh, if you ask about the ontologically, no. Epistemologically, I just know a limited range. That means to be a human brain is kind of wondering about what files have been saved based on the files that have been experientially accessed. But instead of files, it's sensory perception. To me, I feel it's like given, like for a reason. They're like, all right, you know, you're gonna have a body, but you're gonna also be this thing that is aware of the body. Now, why does the you need to be the awareness to notice your body? But the awareness is the space, and the body's what you're moving in the space. Think of it this way: I've come to the realization there's a system admin in this world. Okay, there's mods and then there's users like us. Okay, the mods and the users are all created beings. Mods are just beings that, let's say, they have a greater position, but doesn't mean they are wiser. Do you know that's based on God's mercy and their own conduct? But mods are beings that have, let's say, authority over a sector of manifestation. Okay, do you know that means that like what is to like a bunch of beings in that sector a conditional reality? For the mods is they have a sort of unconditional freedom, it seems, right? And an example of the mod could it could be, you can see them as all the angels, you know, or you can see them as the um, the archetype of shaitan in Islam, do you know, which is an anti-human existential force. Do you know? Now, in regards to narrative, that's a different discussion because I'll be honest, you know, in the same way Buddha had this metaphor like, yo, man, bunch of people touching the same elephant. Probably like Buddha was on an elephant and everybody thought he was like enlightened and he was the blessed one, right? And then, like when he got off the elephant, everybody started touching the elephant, and Buddha's like, "Leave the animal alone, you unenlightened fool." Like, Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that actually happened. But I'm telling you guys that in the metaphor, like in the whole point of it, was that different people were touching an elephant, and but they didn't know it was an elephant, and one of them thought it was like a stone column. One of them thought, I don't know, it was like a wall or something. I don't know, whatever. Right. So every person, I believe that the true advanced civilization exists beyond us, but it is something that is activated from within all of us. Honestly, I'm that human being really in my work so far. I'm just making that argument that it appears to me that if you try to see, okay, who's the most advanced human on earth, let's say you see a very advanced human. But then you ask yourself, what is the value of seeing one advanced human? The mind is not too far away from realizing, noticing that what would a world of advanced humans look like? This, to me, the idea of advancement is one of the most beautiful things. Like, one of my deepest prayers from the depths of my heart and being has been for, and I know that the system admin has designed us through the theological lens, Islamic theological lens, has commanded us into existential position, and has created the soul and commanded the soul to perform and say the divine names. And all manifestation bowed. That means we performed before we were on earth. The soul is no stranger to a great performance, and then all manifestation bowing to God's greatness, not ours. Our greatness is from God. Okay, what people like, if a secular person comes and says, Mr. Within, I like your talks, but I don't believe in God. I'm like, buddy, do you believe in power? Like energy, like power source? Do you believe in the concept of a power source? And the person's like, yeah, I believe in a power source. Do you believe like something needs a power source? Right? And the person's like, yeah, man, all right, that's fallible in a secular lens. I'm like, okay, now imagine there's an original, we're trying to find the original power source, or the original earth, or the original moment, and we're getting close to what? The original being. That is the system admin. It is beyond all conditional states. We're inside a box. Our meaning of the box so far is from inside the box. The reason revelation and religion is so important for human beings, because they believe this insight came from outside of the box to the inside of the box. If you're Christian, a modern Christian, you probably believe that God entered the box and Christ was God, even though Christ died. And God, the concept of God can't die, and even anything existing in the simulation can't be God, because there's a contrast between the unconditional and conditional, position. But God is such an unconditional being that it has ultimate power. God can do anything. That means if they say, can a, is it permissible for a Muslim to equate anything in the simulated world to the system admin? And that's like the biggest sin in Islam. It's called shirk. Islam is saying go directly to the unconditional system admin beyond the world room. If you turn your truth into a condition, that condition will be you become your world. Like, even I know that, like, I use the term pilot. I used earlier in my talks the term pilot of consciousness. Like, I'm piloting my conscious existence in this way, and it's leading to a certain result. But after some point, I have to pilot differently. This is what I'm trying to tell the viewers, that as I'm someone who's starting to comprehend that the purpose of life seems to be
where we have the most access to express ourselves. Do you know? I think in subconsciously that's what people are going towards. You see, we are living at a time where invisible laws are allowing visible, or in a proper way allowing visible. Excuse me. Invisible laws are governing visible beings because we treat those invisible laws as important as we treat like visible beings. Okay. And to be honest, what civilization is how how this unknown power that is us, this unknown life force, envisioned fictional variations to what it initially found. What it means is right now my eyes are directly experiencing existence, they're open, but my awareness is not just my eyes. So I am not just my sight, I am the awareness to the content of the site beyond just the site. I don't know how to explain it to you, but that that's a way. Now, think of it this way, okay? This is like my grounding vision. I'm like, all right, there's an unknown world here, and then there's this unknown self, and then this unknown self noticed itself. Okay, it noticed its body, which was like the first act of the known self, development of the known self. And then in some sense it began knowing, as it began knowing its body, so it was like an unconscious self, moving around in an unconscious world. And suddenly this unconscious self, regardless of whether it was an intervention or whatever, you know evolutionary development or whatever, right, this unconscious self became the conscious self, became the known self, the unknown self became the known self, the conscious self. And this conscious self now has a way to make everything else in the same way, conscious of itself in a subjective, using language to subjectively be freer than we are objectively. So far in this life, my conclusions are this, and I think I should take a break from these lectures, but it doesn't mean I'm taking a break from online, guys. Um, it's been a very interesting year for me, and what keeps me going is not because I said I gotta give 10,000 talks. Now I gotta give the 10,000. But no, it's not that. What it actually is that life, the moment, has content. And this is an endless source of gratefulness. I want you to appreciate how you have existed so far, everything you have experienced, all the different ways you have lived. And I'm telling you that I'm stepping into this 2026, okay, which is in like 1 hour, 9 minutes, with the attitude that I saw the old world looping of fear. It is fear that is this weight on, like, the burden on the soul, what it fears. And I trust that there's a system admin, there's an original power. My greatest realization has been that we didn't create this world. This world has a host. The host is beyond the world. The host, it's simultaneously a simulated testing zone within a divine surveillance state. What does this mean? Reality is being administered in deeper ways than the human archetype can comprehend. That's okay. There's dehumanized sectors of reality and humanized sectors of reality. We as human beings have the responsibility of taking care of the human archetype and the human constructs of reality. Each of you are, a member of the human species. Nobody like you exists. And I think people have forgotten, like, considering, if you consider a 300,000 year range of civilization existing so far, it's kind of like saying that 100, like AI says, if you ask it, it says 117 billion people are estimated to have existed. Now, currently 8.1 billion people exist, so 7% of 117 billion humans are existing right now. Do you understand? That means, you want to know what greatness is? Greatness is realizing how rare it is for existence to exist, and then for you to specifically exist, and for you to specifically exist in a way where you have access to views where your life for your unknown, you as an unknown life force, can, move your life form in a known way, move your body with a mind that has already moved the body. Do you understand that that's the nature of our intelligence here? For me, I've come to the realization that the deeper layers of reality, they are not form based. They are fields of intelligence. This does not mean that what I'm saying is true, but it is suggesting that when human beings look at life, they perceive it as either like, okay, man, I'm accessing like something, some world. So is this world real or not? Okay, and if you pay attention, on this planet we've been treating everything as real. But when you ask yourself what is real, should you ask yourself if it is something that is permanent or something that withstands the condition? you know to me, think of it this way: traditional view, body, mind, soul. The purpose of my body is hopefully to have children and to be healthy, and I guess give talks and invent stuff. And when it comes to, and I have a surprise, and then, like, something you're not gonna believe, you know. But then, my mind, I find that because I'm a visual thinker, I see films behind my eyes, and because I have a very deep view on reality, I feel I'm going towards the creative arts more. To me, it's a conditional life. Our mind seems to be the awareness to between the conditional life and the field. It means just like you look at a tip of an iceberg, like in the ocean, this physical life is like the tip of the iceberg. The rest of the unobservable reality is the rest of life. Human beings, because they can't see the other side of the coin, because the unknown exists, there's not only purpose, the concept of purpose exists, you know, but also there is more to the moment than can be known about the moment. This has to be, there's more to the moment than can be known about the moment. This is like the major conclusion. I honestly feel where the species is heading is towards the realization it's been fighting for the liberty to be to conceptually be free in one fixed context of a world story. What's going to happen in the future is like we're going to see it more and more is people are going to give themselves freedom to shift the context of reality, and we're going to begin valuing each other not just because we can all align to each other and have something in common, but also because why we're everybody's different. When you realize everybody's existing for the first time, it's like not only are you nervous giving a talk, it's like you're like, how do you know if people are not nervous listening? It's funny because every the moment is existing for the first time, and pretty much the soul is moving it. Like I'm like my soul is moving this moment right now. So my body's life, you know, become healthy, be able to do parkour, I guess, you know, or you know, play indoor soccer again, or have kids. And when it comes to my mind, I termed it the great work, like a person's great work, but it's to usher the species towards an advanced civilization. This whole time you thought you had to make a decision between the right and wrong or the good and bad. You gotta wonder about the original, the most advanced option. That's the best option. In the inner realms, my soul's purpose is to meet the system admin. Death is not the final moment to me anymore. This is just a position. It's about like the simulated position returning to the original position. Once it's in the original state, the simulated reality is not the point of life. Because we're experiencing this now, we make this the point of life, the presence of reality, the true presence of what's going on, beyond our eyes, the higher planes. Let us not forget greatness was in the room before failure, the concept of failure could exist. Happy New Year, everyone. Your most advanced self version of you and your most advanced world, or our most advanced world, is waiting for us. It is now time to be responsible and identify more as a human, first as a human in a world, than as any other idea or, color on a person's face, or, on a chunk of land. It is about the ability to advance as far as we can. Thank you for listening. May God bless the human species and advance and guide it to the direct path. In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful, and the most advanced. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. All praise due to the Lord of the worlds. Thank you for everything, and thank you for allowing me to exist up to this year. And thank you, uh, system admin, for, whoever these talks help. The intent is honestly, I want everything to advance. It's the option is advancement or looping. And advancement is the key, and the most advanced is the system admin. So may the system admin's mercy guide humanity in the most advanced way towards the most advanced and best outcome. Thank you for listening. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.